Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the only show on the internet where myself, Dan Selke of WintersComing.net, and Mia Johnson of DarkSideOfTheForce.com have the bravery and cojones mas grandes to talk about the most important issues of the day, including dragons, space lasers, superheroes may or may not be getting their full comeuppance, what they deserve after a very popular, buzzy Disney Plus streaming service. Mia, how are you today?
I'm a little sleepy. I had to start my day off way earlier than normal, so I'm kind of dragging, but I was looking forward to this, and I've saved up the energy to finish the day strong.
This is definitely one of those weeks where it feels like it's Thursday already. I don't actually get those very often, but I definitely am feeling it this week because we're having some these kind of early morning things, and I'm definitely on the weekend's gotta be almost here because my body feels ready to stop feeling.
Exactly. I'm right there with you.
But it's not, and we're here to talk about some House of the Dragon updates, some WandaVision. We got to review the finale of WandaVision, of course, and give our definitive thoughts on whether it was a success or a failure, and also talk about maybe where things are going. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you have comments, as always, pop on in the chat and we will respond. Hey, Julie. And yes, Richard is there. Taking all comments. He sees everything. He sees all. He is God. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Lonnie. She said dragon. Someone said dragon. Okay, I thought we would start today by... Richard is definitely here. Yes, he's always here, man. I think when the thing is off, he's still here. It bugs me out a bit. It is Thursday in Australia, yes, but here it is Wednesday, but it feels like Thursday, so it kind of feels like Friday to you. And Julie, your thing is on the way. Julie won the WiC CLUB prize this month, although I'll say... They sent it to my place, not yours, so I had to send it to you. That's a mistake. I don't know how that happened, but it's on the way. All right. So our first topic today is kick us off with some Game of Thrones stuff. We're getting closer and closer to filming on House of the Dragon, the noted Game of Thrones prequel program that will take place over 100 years before Game of Thrones, tell the story of the Dance of the Dragons, a brutal Targaryen civil war that tore Westeros apart decades before any of the characters we knew were born. And it's picking up steam. We know a bunch of the cast members. We know the contours. We know the talent involved. Everything seems to be falling into place. But there's some trepidation in general that I think is kind of put into words by one of the cast members, Olivia Cook, seen here in a very nice hair moment. Just with her hair just completely on point, flowing in the way you want it to for a glamour shot, lit all right. I'm just saying that's a nice image. Talking about the program, she plays Alicent Hightower, one of kind of two combatants in this war. Have I repeated that enough, by the way, that it's now in your head?
Yeah, that name sounds familiar. I'm putting together who. It's like a little chessboard in my mind, kind of. So it's been working. Good.
I figure Professor I'll just keep saying it, and then by the time it rolls around, we will be ready to go.
Exactly. I've got it all up in here.
And I am reading Fire and Blood now, finally. And awesome. It is quite entertaining. It is. It's nice to get back into that world and just sink into another, even Game of Thrones adjacent story.
I feel you.
There is a reason I fell in love with that story in the first place. Anyway, she was talking...
I was just going to say... I'm getting so many Star Wars books now, so...
Yeah, how many of those come out a month?
That's one major novel a month, and more than that, but that's a whole nother story.
Gotcha. And hey, Diane, hope you're doing well as well. Anyway, Olivia Cook has been out there talking about the show because she has a movie to promote, Pixie, I believe, and she was asked about, the blowback to the ending of the original show. And she was talking about watching, she said... What happened with Daenerys, I was okay with it because I was expecting it. But it's hard, I'm a bit nervous about the new one. You're never going to please everyone, so I've just got to not listen to that stuff. Okay, I have a couple points here. A, that sounds almost eerily like what the cast were saying when they were asked what happens in the final season of Game of Thrones. You can't please everyone was a common refrain. But and more in general, what does the kind of cultural blowback to the end of Game of Thrones mean for where a Game of Thrones successor series starts? Like, how on the minds of people watching it do you think that is? Is that like a disadvantage to go into what you hope will be a long-running successful series with, let's face it, even if you love the ending, and I know a lot of people do it, and I enjoyed it, especially, I'll talk about it later when we talk about WandaVision too, like compare and contrast a bit. I mean, like, can you really avoid that? And are they right to be nervous about this? Like, is there going to be an extra magnifying glass on this? Because I feel like there will be. I feel like there's going to be people who are like, is going to pick up where Game of Thrones left off and disappoint us. I feel like that's going to be like the narrative until they can prove otherwise.
Yeah. Well, let me speak as the Star Wars expert for a moment.
Okay, that's true. There are definitely some parallels to be made.
Oh yeah. Like with the last sequel trilogy, the last 3 movies, honestly, all of those were very controversial. So this has me thinking about, like The Mandalorian was kind of that first spinoff to come on the tail of all of this backlash about those movies. And it's like I think as a fan in general, for both of those things, you just get excited because it is new stuff for this world. Because you are still a fan of the characters and the stories and the lore and all of that stuff. So you kind of come in, it's like anxious and excited, but also, a little bit cautious. Maybe it depends on who you are. You can come in with your guard down, with your expectations pretty low. I almost came in with my expectations low for The Mandalorian because I was like, I'd never seen anything like that before. But this, is a spinoff of another TV series, not a TV series spinoff of a movie. So it's just kind unusual. Of in a different league. But I expect people to still just be excited about it anyway, just because it is, in that Game of Thrones world and they're a fan of the the whole world. So I don't think one season out of an entire 8 is going to entirely ruin it, the whole next series coming.
I mean, I agree. I guess the counterpoints would be the internet has such a long memory. Like, that's kind of what it prides itself on, but so selectively long. Like, it forgets things for big chunks. And then the second anything related to it pops up, like, it's time to rehash the entire drama in think pieces, in Twitter threads, in everything. And I mean, it's definitely, remember when Game of Thrones came out, Twitter was around, but not the force it is now.
Yeah.
Like, it's so interesting the way social media narratives shape business decisions now, shape the way people approach media. Like, there was that earnings call the other day with Disney where like investors were basically like parroting like Twitter threads about Gina Carano and about Kathleen Kennedy. Like, the way the social media discourse like works its way into like real top level discussions. And I do think it'll have a magnifying glass on it, but I also say the Mandalorian comparison. Like, that had me episode 1. Like, the first one, I was like, oh, this is going to work. Like, you could just tell. And then it pretty much did. And then it lost its way in the second season. And now it's going to go down a deep, dark hole. Or not. So and that's the good thing. Like, there's so much anticipation, maybe even dread over what certain corners of the fandom might do if they want to cause a ruckus. But if the show is good, if the series is as good as it seems to be making out to be, it won't matter at all. Because, fans especially, are so fickle too. Like, yes, they will tear you down the top of a hat, but honestly, if you make something they like, they're on your side again. Like, it doesn't take a whole lot to get a fandom to flip, which is good and bad, because if you're in their bad graces, you can win it back. Like, all you got to do is make an episode they like. If you're in their good graces, it can also go the other way really easily.
Yeah, it really is like the memory. What to say, like the memory of a goldfish, and it's like it's hard, to be like how much should we, like bend the knee to these fans, because, and again, sometimes when I see stuff like on Twitter, and I think Twitter is like the voice. Sometimes
It
you know,
does
maybe
seem to
you
be.
can say Reddit sometime. Facebook, I feel like, is an entirely different audience on its own as well. Because, like, I'll
So
read the
fascinating.
Star Wars comments on Twitter versus, like, Facebook for, you know, I won't
course you
say,
will.
but completely different opinions. So it seems like, you know, these companies are really having their eye on, like, Twitter. And, for example, like, Dr. Seuss is the first thing to come to mind. And it's now, you know, reevaluating, like, in Universal Studios, what should we do about, like, they have a Dr. Seuss land. And they're like, should we take out everything? You know, because Twitter has, you know, started to cause a ruckus about all this. And we've talked about this a lot before. So I won't go on too much. But yeah, it really is just this goldfish mindset, you know, where it's like you swing one way today and you swing another way, you know, the next day. And it's like, okay, well, then how much should we, you know, continue to give into these small fan voices?
And we have some great. I agree with you, and I did not hear about that Dr. Seuss land thing.
Oh man,
I might Google that later.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have some great comments here that I want to read them. Julie says, I think it will lose some. This is House of the Dragon, but a lot will still tune in and hope it measures up to the previous 7 years. Too many have invested a lot of time in GOT, which I think is true. I mean, it was such a huge conversation. And I'm sure it will. I mean, it'll definitely attract people. The question is, can it keep them? Like, and that will depend on whether it's a good product out of the gate. And the pilot to Game of Thrones is a really good pilot. Like, it's an excellent episode. It ends with, you can't, like, make an episode where incestuous twins push a kid out a window at the very end and not want to see what happens next. Like, that was a good tee off. So as long if they can meet that level, I think it will be a success, and they can just kind of plow through whatever bad chatter might occur. And as James Loon says, House of the Dragon needs to exist on its own. It needs to distance itself from GOT to be successful in its own right, not to be as a new show to fix disappointment of the old one. Completely agree with that too. And I do think if it were like, I think there are companies who would try to, like, fix the old one and, like, make it more self-conscious. I don't think HBO is one of them. I think the people involved here are going to at least try and tell a separate story. But I see you guys talking about the commercial. I'll get to that in a second. I think they will give it the old college try. I hope that won't be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's kind of hard to imagine a Game of Thrones-ish, you know, series that's not kind of a copycat of the first series. I mean, it can be done, I'm sure. I just kind of, I guess, lack the critical thinking outside of the boxness.
I want to interrogate that for a second. How do you mean, Mia? Not a copycat? Like, what would be a copycat to you?
I mean, maybe it's just me and I don't know, the fact that it is just a fantasy setting. You know, it's a couple, you know, a handful of years set before the events of the original series. At the same time, I can still kind of see the costuming being the same. The castles are kind of same. The landscapes are the same. I guess maybe the story structure could be a little bit different.
It will be.
The tone can be different as well. If the tone is the same, I might consider kind of a copycat style. Like you said, maybe if they introduce flashbacks or something like that. You got me going like through a list of all these TV tropes.
Interesting.
So,
well, I mean, because then you get into what is a franchise? Like, you were a Star Wars fan. I'm going to guess you welcomed the prequels, sequels, Mandalorian, even though, I mean, they all involve, you know, hopping planets and lightsabers and Jedi and the same. They could have Tatooine like 8 million times, but but those, you know, all have their own followings.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. Mandalorian, right? They played with genre, so the more I think about it, it's kind of like working it out in my head. Like, maybe copycat is not the same word, but, you know, making it its own unique series. Jeez. We've been up for way too long. That 8 o'clock in the morning stuff doesn't work.
Speaking of franchises, another huge franchise that you know is coming back at some point, but they just haven't wanted to tip their hand, I guess, is Harry Potter. The British boy under the stairs who learned he was a wizard and whisked the world off on a magical adventure to a wizarding school where he fought a a sorcerer Nazi and learn to live with himself. Now, okay, huge story, very popular. Everyone knows it. There's been a lot of controversy lately. There's been like some conflicting things we're getting about what Warner Brothers is going to do with Harry Potter, because like at first there were rumors they're going to adapt the original books, which I still have in my bookcase, by the way. I read them when I was like 13 or whatever, as like a TV show. Then Casey Bloys, programming head, said, we're not planning that. We don't have any. Well, no, what it said was like, we don't have any writers attached. There's like nothing official in production, which I think is a little like kind of dodgy language. And then like, but just like a week later, then you have, I think, the Warner Media CEO, Jason Kilar, saying, there's this little thing called Harry Potter, one of our most beloved franchises. And we're incredibly thankful to be able to partner with J.K. Rowling. And so I would argue there's a lot of fun and potential there as well. So I guess my question there is, we all know they're going to make something. We all, right? Like, we all know there's too much money. We all know they're going to make a sequel movie or a prequel movie or a TV show or a web series or another park or something. I guess the question is, since it's coming no matter what we do, and this goes for everybody out there listening, what Harry Potter thing do you want to see next, since it's inevitable? Do you want to see a prequel movie about the Marauders or whatever? Do you want to see a sequel, Uncharted Territory? Do you want to see a TV show on HBO Max just adapt the original books? What do you want and why? And I guess it should all go away is a good answer too. Is it? Oh, no, not good. An acceptable answer. A valid answer.
I think I'm definitely in favor of a series or two, perhaps. I think there's definitely some stuff worth exploring, like, you know, stuff about like Harry Potter's dad, for instance. Like, what was he up with? Who was it? Lupin and all those people making fun of Snape. And I would like to see a young Snape again. That would be pretty cool. Let's see. The other thing I was thinking, kind of like, you know, the whole Order of the Phoenix that his parents were in, and Neville's parents and all those people, kind of that generation before, and how they were fighting against the dark arts and stuff. They can go further back than that, but I would like to see some of the stories of kind of the way Marvel is doing, like the stories of the characters we know about, but are not Harry Potter, so they didn't get Harry Potter time, so to speak. Because it's like with the MCU, each kind of character has their own solo movie, because that's how comics work. But Harry Potter is literally the story of Harry Potter, so it's never really been like, oh well, what if we do a spinoff about Snape, or, you know, which I would love to even see Alan Rickman in something, and, you know, unfortunately we can't. But
no, I mean, deep fake it, but no.
But oh my gosh, Carrie Fisher. But I'm really excited at this possibility. I won't say that I'm like upset. I would love to see more Potterverse stuff within the realm of, you know, not just movies, but basically doing what everybody else does at this rate. I honestly wish they would cancel the rest of the Fantastic Beasts series.
I can do too.
Movies, just so that they can clear their schedule for like some series.
Something people want to watch, maybe they can clear it for that. I mean, we have some various things in the comments. We got someone, not a Potter fan, Christian. I understand, everyone is. We got some Adventures of Dobby the Free House Elf. Great. We got a Potter prequel about Death Eaters hunting wizards and the rise of Voldemort. We got James Potter period, the Marauders period, fun for watch. The most recent rumor is they were going to adapt the Cursed Child play as a movie.
That,
which does seem kind of obvious. I mean, you know, it's like, can you imagine if they got Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson back together for a sequel movie? Like, the hype would make itself. And
they're pretty much old enough, too, to be in those roles, because it's like now they're all parents in that. So, you know, why not?
I mean, the only problem is, that, like, pretty much everything else Harry Potter has produced since the end of the books got a lot of backlash. Which I almost think it's so weird. Like, I'm split on whether you, like, just push through the backlash because it's going to happen anyway, or if you slow down to listen and consider, like, do people really want this? Because I think that's a harder question to figure through than it might seem at first. But honestly, what I'm most in favor of, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, like a lot of folks don't, is just adapt the original books for TV. Do it for TV. I think that would make the most sense. I think those are the only Harry Potter works that haven't gotten huge backlash, first of all. The only ones like everyone loves. And I mean, I was going to say it, the only story people seem to be universally interested in. I don't know. I don't really want to see a prequel movie that much. And I guess I would watch a sequel, but I would just say go do it in a different way with different people and in a longer form way, so you could put in stuff that couldn't fit into the book, something like that.
Yeah,
I would watch that. I'm not seeing Fantastic Beasts 3 though. We do have some agreements there.
Yeah. Can we make enough noise? Like, if they can resurrect the Snyder cut, can they also like put to rest Fantastic Beasts? Like that's a soul for a soul.
Because Warner Brothers does respond to people screaming on Twitter. That's very true. We just got to get a hashtag going.
Yeah, I'll reach out and, let them know my thoughts. But I'm kind of tied on adapting the series as adapting the book series as a, expanded television series. I think only because the movies were so much like a part of my childhood. So I kind of get like that nostalgia attachment to where it's like anybody who's not Daniel Radcliffe or Rupert Grint or Emma Watson, it's like, how dare you? That sort of thing. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing like some of those moments in the book that got left out, because that definitely is fan service and you'd love to see all those moments, but it would be really, really hard for me to kind of let go of the movies and accept like a new canon or accept, whatever universe they're trying to build.
You're probably right. I mean, like, my argument was like it wouldn't have backlash, but I'm like, of course it would. It would be like the second someone was cast, everyone would be all over it.
Oh, yeah.
Picking apart exactly how it's wrong and inappropriate.
Not my Harry Potter.
Yeah, there you go. That would be the hashtag. I mean, it's just coming, and I just wish they would just announce something, because it seems silly to keep it under wraps like this. We know you have something, just do it. All right, and finally, Mia, we have to talk about the WandaVision finale and what else we're watching. This series, WandaVision, it's over. 9 episodes, around half about 5 minutes long each. The very first TV show set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to debut on Disney Plus. And after watching the finale, I think the whole series was a good time, and that the finale was all right.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, but I'm like, it's kind of like getting off of a roller coaster ride, and it's like I have to give them a round of applause for pulling this off. And it's not like Marvel hasn't made TV series before.
No,
but this
but
one
MCU.
Within the really within the MCU and connected, they just blew it out of the water. I mean, the fan response was awesome. Like The Mandalorian, that weekly stuff worked every single time. Mm-hmm. People now hate the words "please stand by." I'll go raging in the streets because of that. But yeah, they did an awesome job. Like, they made me love a character who I could honestly care less about. Just by kind of building up that story slowly but surely, and just showing us this whole other side of someone we've never gotten to see before. So yeah, I've been looking at it as a whole versus this kind of the finale, because I was a little, not like super underwhelmed with the finale, but it was just sort of like, well, all right, this happened. The story's over. I appreciated the story that they had to tell, and now it's over.
I agree with you that they did an overall good job with the series as a whole. I mean, they did a lot of cool stuff. They had the sitcom pastiche, kind of like the mystery beginning was very intriguing. The kind of middle part where I think the conflict was mostly like, is Wanda going to kill everyone? That was a good watch. I mean, to me, at the end, it did kind of confirm that old chestnut I've been hammering out about sometimes, that Marvel movies and now TV shows tend to be good, but not great. Because to me, the finale did sort of confirm that it wasn't really interested in going the whole way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm happy to elaborate if you want.
Well, yeah, if you're going where I'm going, I think the kind of whole, okay, she reveals, the townspeople find out what she's been doing. And we've been talking about her kind of being held responsible for her actions. And I thought they were going to kick her, you know what, for a minute. I was like, oh, she's in trouble. You know, they've woken up and all this stuff. And then, you know, eventually it happens. She just, you know, does her walk of shame out of town. And who's that? Monica Rambeau is like, she says something like, you know, they won't know the sacrifices that you made. And it was like, but is Wanda's, you know, grief comparable to what they had to, you know, put up with just during all of that?
No, like that line ticked me off. It was like, they'll never know what you suffered. Oh, do you mean like subsuming their wills for weeks on end, putting them in pain, probably locking that one girl's daughter in a room she couldn't see, basically torturing them for weeks? Like, no, Wanda, they don't look at you the same way anymore. Like saying that as if like she was like, they'll never look at me like I'm a good person. Like, well, no crap, they won't. Like, look at what you did to them. Yeah. Like you basically tortured them for weeks or however long it lasted. And then she just flies away.
Yeah.
Like, I feel a little cheated that, because to me, again, I've said this before, like to me, that was the good bit. Like that was what was really bold about it, was that they were really going to go there and show a hero. And she said, like, heroes don't torture people. But like, apparently heroes flee crime scenes they created and fly away. This is basically like if Captain America got drunk and came home, was driving home from an Avengers party, because back in the 40s, that was not as much of a taboo, hit a kid. He's on the side of the road, looks out the window and goes like, ugh, and just drives away. That is basically what Wanda did. She came to a town. She traumatized this town full of people for God knows what kind of therapy they're going to need. And then the show let her off the hook. It let her off the hook. It just let her fly away and go to a Canadian retreat somewhere where she's looking at books in her spectral form. So yeah, I think that if you weren't really interested in holding her accountable, I don't like, why would you show us how much pain they were in the first place? Like that scene was the best scene of the episode where they all woke up and they were like, Wanda, please, I'll be destroyed. Yeah. Let my daughter out of her room. Like that kind of thing. Or what was it? They were saying like, let us go or kill us. Killing us would be good. Just do that. I don't want to live anymore. Like that was intense. Like you put them through pain, and then the worst they get is like some like 50-yard stairs. And like, that's it. And then you leave. You know, I just wish that either they would have gone further and actually, I don't know, make her turn herself in or something, or go to The Hague, or just not highlight that part of it if you weren't going to follow through with it.
Yeah, you know, your Captain America analogy sounds very Homelander-like.
Yes, it does.
So, like, in another light, this could be like The Boys, and it's like, is Marvel kind of, you know, setting themselves up as that superhero agency and kind of being like, they're superheroes, you know, they get a free pass, you know. But it did seem like they used Agatha's, you know, evil witchness on top of Haywood, the sword director, like those two evils, to be like, yeah, Wanda did this, but oh my gosh, you know, look over here, you know, Agatha is honestly, Agatha, how much did she do wrong? It's like r/Thanos was right.
I mean, I'll say that. Not as much as Wanda did wrong. Not in this, not even close.
This is a true discourse.
Now that I think about it.
She just kind of came on in, and, you know, she killed the dog, but it was a hologram, you know, so you can't feel
that dog wasn't even real. Yeah. I mean, she didn't torture anybody. I mean, she, I guess, tortured the two kids, which is bad. But also, they're fake people too. No, that's not wrong. Fake people are real people. Wait, whatever. That is not a bad point. Like, yes, I honestly think Wanda did way worse things than Agatha in the course of this series. She is way more of a bad person. And again, I always knew they weren't going to really hold her responsible because she has to be in the next movie. So they can't really do that. But then why go there at all? So good series overall.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it was still a Marvel show, you know, with all the limitations that implies.
one last point. How did you feel about
I got more points, don't worry.
Oh, great. About the fan theory, like literally every single fan theory, trying to get something to stick to the wall and that not happening like at all. I think like the Mephisto stuff was a huge, nothing burger. Even the Evan Peters thing, that to me was the most disappointing. Like, we set this up to make a boner joke, and it was like, oh,
because that was intentional. Like that one, I don't blame anybody for thinking Mephisto, whoever that is, going to show up, and then he doesn't. Like that's on the fans. Like I don't hold the creators responsible for people they have no control over concocting narratives in their head and then being sad when it'll come to pass. Like that's not their fault. The Evan Peters thing, that was their fault. Like they cast a guy from Fox X-Men movies in a Marvel show, knowing Disney had just bought Fox and knowing we were all looking forward to seeing whether the X-Men are going to make it into the MCU. Like that was an intentional bait and switch. That was a prank that maybe a little kind of a mean-spirited prank. So that one, it's like, it's sort of funny, but I don't think it's funny enough to justify like the sort of underhandedness of it. The other theories though, like, no, think whatever you want. Fan theories.
I think the other thing was people were getting really hype about, cameos. So Doctor Strange was like the biggest. I read some, leaker who said like Wong was going to come in as well. And in a sense, I kind of get it. Like I was hoping, like at that 11th hour, it would be like Doctor Strange comes out and, they're setting up like multiverse of whatever the title is. And I was like, I'm really, really waiting for this moment. And it was like, no, absolutely not. And then there was a whole thing where, the Luke Skywalker level cameo that got completely like thrown out of hand or misinterpreted. And so it was like we came in with all these expectations. I even have a friend who's just like a casual Marvel watcher. She was looking at all like the YouTube theory videos and stuff, and it just kind of, we all set ourselves up for failure. So I think the lesson, hopefully, that we've all learned as fans is to like going into Falcon and the Winter Soldier is like to not expect anything, just to like let it ride.
Yeah, no one's learned that.
Well, the theory people will still be out there, but I at least will kind of, it's kind of hard to say have lower expectations, but in the sense of like expecting all these wild theories to come through. I just kind of want to watch this straightforward now and be like, all right, it's a great action, let's just see how the story unfolds.
I mean, I'll repeat that, like, I all that theory stuff, like, that's not on the show itself. Like, the text of the show doesn't imply anything.
Yeah, we played ourselves.
Except the Evan Peters thing. The Evan Peters thing is different. That was intentional. The rest of it, no. My expectations for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was coming up next is I just hope it works, that the story they're telling works within the framework they want to tell it in. Because I think WandaVision promised more than it gave. Not in terms of we didn't get a cameo from Magneto or whatever, in terms of they promised a thematic grappling with the nature of corruption, delusion, grief, and responsibility, and they boiled it down to they'll never know what you sacrificed. That's what disappointed me. That's what disappointed me about it. I don't care we didn't get a Magneto cameo. That was never a thing. I mean, also, I got serious live action Dragon Ball Z vibes from it. Frankly, the finale.
Oh,
you feel it at all? Like just like the air is like pew, 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 pew. That's what it was giving me.
Yeah. I like they also had kind of like the Incredibles like scene where, the family is getting into their superhero pose. That was kind of cute. So yeah, it had its moments. It had its pitfalls. It looks like they're trying to set up Captain Marvel too, I'm assuming, with the whole, the Skrulls had come back and Monica's got powers and she's like in this estranged relationship with Captain Marvel and all this stuff. And then whatever they're trying to do with the, the kids calling out for Wanda and, they might actually be alive and, we might actually make the Young Avengers. And like, I don't know where you all are going with that, but hey, I'm kind of in this for the long haul.
Tune in next week to find out. Tune in to Doctor Strange 2. Tune in to the Winter Soldier. Tune in to the next thing where Marvel, ABSU, always be setting up. That's just the name of their game. Like, and that I don't love. Like, again, I wanted to be like a story that was full and complete. And I mean, I know they're going to do the Stinger stuff. I know they're going to do like this is going to go next, but and I'd be fine with it if they. But again, like the Stinger stuff, I said this before, is the reason they can't be great, because you can't have a full reckoning for a character when you have to set up the next thing they're in. Even Vision coming back. I mean, they found a way to not make him dead anymore. Like for reals. Yeah, and I'm sure White Vision will go off and have a little adventure, and he'll like go to a cottage and learn from a little girl the meaning of life and happiness, something like that, and come back and he'll be all better and they'll get back together. And he's not going to be dead. And that's just a little whatever. It makes me question whether I can really invest. And I'll say this about the Game of Thrones finale. As many problems as it had, at least it went all the way. At least it made a final statement about what this was all about. People might not have liked that final statement, but it was a final statement. It did go through with the themes it had. And I know that's a rarity, and I know Marvel can't do that because it's not allowed to. But one day I'm going to be surprised. So just like tell smaller stories then. If you don't want to go that big, just make it a little smaller. Like don't torture people if you don't want. Okay, I think I've said enough.
I wonder if Black Widow will be kind of the black sheep, so to speak, because the characters already died, are already in the past. You know, will they find a way to thread this into another movie, or will we actually just get that island tale where it's
that's a good
all
point.
On its own?
I mean, I guess they probably won't, because I mean, like, Paul Bettany is willing to come back as Vision, but I think Scarlett Johansson's probably done as Black Widow.
Yeah.
So, like, they'll kill you off for good when literally the actor refuses to do anything else, unless you pay them $1 billion. By the way, Christian says, she's chaos magic. You'll never know she's going to decide on the good side or the bad side. Chaos equal red, magic equals scarlet witch. Which, sure. Yeah, I'm all for ambiguity. I just don't think they were selling her as bad, though. Like, it'd be one thing if she fled the crime scene and it was depicted as, like, an evil act. But no, it was, like, melancholy. It was like she sacrificed. It was, like, sympathy for her. So that was my issue there. Are you or anybody else there watching anything else at the moment, Mia? Anything else on the screen in front of you?
Am I watching anything else? No, not really. I feel like I have amnesia right now. It's kind of my thoughts have all been clouded by Marvel recently. We'll talk about what I'm watching next week, actually.
Oh, that's right. Is that out next week?
It is.
Okay, very excited. Well, I am. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see how it all goes down. Just for me, I'm just fully binging the new RuPaul's Drag Race season. I'm pretty deep into it now. RuPaul's Drag Race and RuPaul's Drag Race UK. They're on at the same time.
Wow, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, are you kidding? They got like Australia. They got Thailand. They got Holland.
Oh my god.
She has franchised that thing to hell and back. I can't imagine how much money RuPaul has. It's insane.
Fly back and forth. So this RuPaul fly back and forth to all of the shows.
She's not like in. Oh, that's the. She's only in the UK and the American one. I don't think she does Australia or any of the other ones. Yeah. Oh, also Canada. Oot. Wow. Anyway, not very fantasy. Although in a way, it's all fantasy. And we'll be back next week to talk about more fantasy. RuPaul is a great witch. Oh, watch. Sorry, I thought like either one of those would work. Like it would take Agnes level witchery to do what she does. Anyway, everybody, we are available to watch whenever you want on the Winter is Coming YouTube page, Winter is Coming Facebook page. We're also available in podcast form if you want to listen to us on a commute or at the gym or on a walk or whatever through iTunes, Apple TV Plus. I'm sorry, iTunes, and what's the other one that we're available in? We're available in podcast form. Have fun.
Everywhere.
And if you want to be a part of the WiC Club, Google Podcast, that's the one.
There you go.
And if you want to be a part of the WiC Club, where we give away prizes, extra articles every month, all you got to do is buy one of these nifty WiC shirts. And I can put a link to that in the chat if you're interested. Beyond that, we're here live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time at the Winter's Coming Facebook page and the Winter's Coming YouTube page. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.